Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are looking at another Black Friday purchase. At the rate I'm going, we're going to do my best of the year 2024 in July. This is Patroness of Pussy, which is a wild name for a polish. I am ignorant of what it refers to, so my imagination has filled in some gaps for good or evil. I'm imagining it's from a fantasy romance novel, so my mind went straight to Brothel Madam. And I think I forgot to mention this is from Bee's Knees Lacquer. I was so excited to discuss Brothel Madams that I just skipped straight to that. This is a very pale pink crelly with a green to blue shimmer. This was listed as a Dumicorn sibling. I'm going to do that thing where I quibble with the official description. The website lists this as an ivory-based polish, and I disagree. To me, ivory is a white base with a yellow undertone, and to me, this base is clearly pink-toned. Interestingly, when I did look up a color palette for ivory, because, I could have made a mistake, I did find one single palette that listed ivory as pink. When I compared this to a true pink, I found this just a bit more orange. So I would call this a pastel melon color or a very pale salmon. In the meantime, you have watched me apply the first coat. I thought it went on pretty even for something that is vaguely crelly on a thumb that is slightly ridged. I think for me, in one coat, it gives a your nails but better look. And as much as it pains me to say these words out loud, I guess it could be a glazed donut nail. I can't explain why I dislike that description, but I do. I cannot wait for us all just to forget about that phrase and let it die. And yet here I am, helping it live. Ugh. Can we all just come to an agreement that what this is a white shimmer crelly? Okay, I'm done, I promise. That second coat is giving it a surprising amount of coverage. Obviously, you can still see through it to my nail bed. I think it looks a little bit pearly in two, and by pearly, I don't mean that it's streaky. What I do mean is that there is a soft white finish with some translucence that lets you see through the layers, and a very lustrous iridescent shimmer. If this were a pearly nacre, I would think it looks a bit like the inside of a Nautilus shell. Shiny and iridescent, but not so much so that it looks metallic. I think in the full hand shots, you'll see how pearly or not pearly this is. I know some people have a hatred of pearl polishes. I don't hate them, but I do own a couple that I hate because of their terrible formula. And yes, that is some serious side-eye for China glaze. And during this third coat, you can see we're getting even more opacity. I suppose you could do thicker layers, but I have to say, I think I was pretty generous while swatching this particular nail polish. So I do think you would need to resign yourself to at least some of your nail line showing through. So, you know how some people will find the perfect cream for their skin tone? This might be my color. I was more than a little disturbed to realize that for all my joking about how pink I am, I really am this pink. In the LEDs, the greenish yellow of the shimmer disguises that a bit, but wait until you see this in the sun. I'm not sure it's my perfect skin tone, but it was way closer than I would have thought before wearing it. And we have made it to the sun. When I'm over to the right with the more direct sunlight, you can see that green shimmer that's almost a chartreuse sometimes. And as I swing around to the left in the slightly more oblique sun, you can see it shift into blue and I think just a little bit of violet. Because this is a crelly base, I think it tones down the shifting shimmer from what I would have expected from a Dumicorn sibling. The shifts exist, but they're not as flashy, they're not as obvious as I would have expected in a jelly base. This is not a complaint, this is just a note. I definitely knew what I was buying when I bought this. This is not the type of polish I normally buy, but I did want to buy a pale pink and knew if I was going to do so, it would be a hard task because of my weird crelly issues. But when I saw this one, I wondered if it was sheer enough to bypass my hatred of crellies. And as I wore this for several days, I did find myself looking down and enjoying it. So this seems to have been a good risk. I know it's never going to be a favorite, but it will occupy a niche in my collection. If you've been noticing a strange spot on my index finger, a piece of my nail sheared off, so the nail is very thin there. The polish did its best to level out, but there's only so much you can do when half the nail is missing. I think my middle nail was also sheared off, so I had an extremely thin edge there as well, but it's not as obvious in terms of the polish pooling. In the artificial light shot, we start out on the right facing the window, and the shimmer is looking very blue into violet. As I swing around to the left, it moves over to the green portion of the shimmer. This is where I think it looks the most gold, but I think it stays pretty firmly chartreuse. It never quite makes the full transition to a new color. I think this light also makes the base look a little less pink and a bit more gray, and that is accurate to what I was seeing in person. And I did purposely hold this footage for Valentine's Day because I did think it would be cute to release two pinks. And that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe so that I can buy tiny goggles for my all morning dove speed racing team. They've never made it to the finish line, but I am certain that one day they will understand what to do. Please enjoy a clip of my squirrel getting snow all over her snoot.